Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamualaikum to our respected lecturer, Ms. Farhan and my fellow classmates. Today, my group will conduct a forum on topic about knowledge of content and materials in our Malaysian education system. In today's fast-changing world, when information is available and easily accessible, the importance of content we provide to our kids cannot be overstated. The information we choose shapes not only their knowledge and understanding, but also their viewpoints, critical thinking ability, and overall learning experience. So, therefore, this forum attempts to look into the various facts of educational content material, from design and creation to distribution and impact. We invite educators and anyone concerned in education to participate in serious discussion, share insights, and exchange ideas about how to best use content in our educational institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me introduce our first panel for today's forum session. First, we have Mrs. Fatin Nabilah, a mathematics teacher from SK Pioneer Sabah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me.
Next is our second panel, Miss Nadia from SK Bukit Rama, who is currently a science teacher. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing well.
As for the third panel, we have Miss ADILA with us today. How are you? Are you still teaching English in SK Pandan Indah?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. Thank you for inviting me. Yes, I'm still teaching English at FK Pandang Indah.
Alhamdulillah and welcome to every panel. Ladies and gentlemen, this forum serves as a platform for open dialogue and collaboration where we can learn from one another's experiences and perspective. Well, let's collectively explore the potential of content material in shaping a transformative educational landscape that equips our students with the knowledge, skills, and mindset needed to thrive in a modern world. We encourage every participant to actively ask questions and share your experiences and ideas. Together, we can unlock the power of content material in education and empower future generations for success. Let the discussion begin with the first panel. I would like to pose a question to Mrs. Fatih. What is your favorite subject and are you teaching your favorite subject?
Since I was in high school, my favorite subject were English and mathematics. But again, I'm more into mathematics and I am currently teaching it.
Good for you, Mrs. Fatih. It seems you enjoyed teaching your students the mathematics subject. Now the second question to Miss Nadia. Let's say you are teaching science subject, right? So what do you have to say about the content in the textbook?
Alright, first of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me. So, I would say that textbooks are frequently used sources of information for students, and they contain an ample amount of knowledge along with clues about the text. And we all know that curriculum writers from publishing companies create the textbook content. So it is recommended that teachers go through an entire chapter or part before studying to get a better understanding of its core ideas and important components. So some learners may struggle to comprehend the significance of textbook data to their life experiences, while other textbooks might not attract curiosity among learners. And teachers might assume the material is sacred and blindly adhere to it or dismiss it as ineffective. But lots of textbook authors as well as publishers have created texts with beneficial elements. So teachers can use textbook analysis in assisting students understand the framework of the course as well as the presentation's focus or bias. And of course, learning with textbooks will have advantages and disadvantages. Textbooks may contain all of the objectives and courses needed to tackle a topic in depth, as well as maintained broad overview that covers a subject. And some students, however, may reject textbooks just because they are school textbooks, and some textbooks can be less engaging or applicable students' lives. And textbooks might include stereotypes or feedback, and students ought to be encouraged to conduct research and analyze authentic sources in order to enhance their educational experiences. So, in my opinion, textbooks are an excellent resource for students, but they must be effectively and supplemented with additional sources of information in order to give them a thorough comprehension of a subject.
Thank you, Miss Nadia. Well, I am agree with you that textbook play a crucial part in shaping our students' educational performances. As a teacher, we need to be prepared with lots of content materials that might help the students to engage more in their classroom. So moving on to Miss Adila, as an English teacher, do you think the content is relevant to the child age? Like, is it vast for him or her to cope up with?
Okay, before I answer your question, I would like to share some information. For English subjects in primary and secondary school right now, we use CEFR aligned textbook. So CEFR is Common European Framework of Reference. So the content of CEFR itself comes from Europe. So back to the question, in my opinion, the content of English language textbook used in Malaysian primary schools varies depending on the child's age and level. However, there are concerns about using imported CEFR aligned English language textbook in Malaysian school because the cultural content may be regarded irrelevant to Malaysian children. As a result, English teachers in Malaysia must assess the relevance and quality of textbook used in their classes to ensure that they suit the needs of the students and equip them with the essential information and skills. The textbook's content should be appropriate for the child's age and level, as well as entertaining, intriguing, and relevant to their life. It is also necessary to take into account the policy environment of English language teaching in Malaysia. It is critical to find a balance between between offering between offering enough content to challenge the child while not overloading them with knowledge. As an English teacher in a primary school, it is important to review textbook content and also teaching methods to guarantee that the child can deal with the subject.
Yes, I am agree with you, Miss Adila. Nowadays, the content in textbook, for example, in our year 3 kids textbook, the content is very imbalanced as it is CEFR aligned. Some of content only touches the other country's culture and does not include our own Malaysian culture. So it is a serious matter for the Ministry of Education to revise and check back our children's textbook. Well, my tips if we encounter challenges using the textbook, we may come up with some examples that our students can imagine and will get familiar with. Well, let us hope our children will adapt and gain their knowledge despite the hard content in the textbook. Ladies and gentlemen, well, let's continue again our session with Mrs. Fatin. Mr. Fatin, if you were given an opportunity to be part of the curriculum development team, what are some of the initiatives you would like to take?
All right, thank you for the question. If I had the probability to change the curriculum a little bit, it would definitely be to simplify the content. Even though I teach mathematics to my student, I can relate it to joining a talk about the textbook and the use of the English textbook in Malaysia. So why did we choose to use the European textbook when in the past we used to have our own textbook? We have our own writer, developer, and such. We can actually use our own textbook because, like I said, in the first part of the interview, we are learning about European culture. It's good to learn about If it's too much and it's something that's not relatable, then we have a harder time learning it. And I think the most common problem would be the language or culture barrier. So they might not be able to enjoy the content of the textbook. So if I were a part of the curriculum team, I would propose that they use our culture. And it's not bad to use it to incorporate others, but we should be proud of our culture and then incorporate English, because English is the second language for Malaysia. So that's all for my answer.
Thank you, Mrs. Fatin. It is interesting to hear your thoughts and the wish you had the chance to change the curriculum. Next to Miss Nadia, do you update yourself with the development in your subject area?
Yes, I do. And I believe that every teacher should do the same. There will be many things that teachers need to keep themselves updated on because every area of your school has different developments in curriculum. Am I right? And I
Yes.
believe that keeping yourself updated with developments will help teachers to stay relevant. In a rapidly changing world, it is crucial for teachers to stay updated with the latest developments in their subject area to remain relevant and connected to the future. Updating subject knowledge helps teachers to improve their teaching skills and pedagogical skills to teach students more effectively. And I also think that it will help teachers to keep up with new discoveries. Education is a constantly evolving field, and teachers need to keep themselves abreast of all new developments to introduce their students to all of these new facets. And then when teachers are updated, I believe that it will improve student outcomes. A teacher's subject knowledge and their understanding of how pupils handle the subject have the strongest evidence of impact um, on student outcomes. In fact, I also expand professional expertise. From here, teachers can improve their professional expertise by attending conferences, workshops, webinars, seminars, and symposium focused on enlightening them with the latest developments in the field of education. So overall, I can conclude that it is very crucial for every teacher to keep themselves updated with the developments in their subject area, and that is why I'm taking this matter seriously. And I hope my explanation clears up your question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Miss Nadia. Your explanation really clear up my question. So, as a teacher, we should contribute ourselves by attending those seminars, those webinars for our own students' sake, for their own education future. So, now the last question I would like to ask our Miss Adila. As an English teacher, what kind of test do you usually give to your students?
In my class, I usually give them a quiz. For example, quiz from physics, Kahoot, and then give them a passage to read to enhance their pronunciation and vocabulary. Sometimes I do show and tell sessions so that my students can build up their confidence. What is important is to have two-way communication with my students so that I have the feedback from that and I can improve for the next test. So that's all from my answer.
Thank you, Ms. Adila. I can see that your proactive idea to keep the students engaged in the class is useful and beneficial to both teacher and students, as we require two-way communication between teacher and students, right? So students themselves can stay interested in the class and make the subject as their favorite. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as an educator myself, I hope that future curriculum change may include interdisciplinary learning, technology integration, a greater emphasis on critical thinking, student-centered approaches, social emotional development, and or global viewpoints, flexibility, and regular updates to keep the current. In addition, I think the use of modern technology is one of the most major improvements I expect to see in the curriculum in the future. The application of new technologies in English language teaching, such as virtual reality and video platforms, is becoming more widespread. So this way, it can give our students a fresh and interesting ways to learn English or other subjects. Well, as we close this forum, let us take a lesson learned and continue to advocate for the creation and delivery of high quality, engaging, and relevant educational content. Well, let us work together, experiment, and grow to keep our educational institutions at the forefront of fostering knowledge, creativity, and lifelong learning. Well, thank you to every panel for insightful comments, meaningful discussion, and shared experiences. Let us continue to strive for educational excellence and enable our kids to become well-rounded, adaptive individuals and capable of shaping a brighter future for themselves and society as a whole. Thank you, everyone.